Yo, what's happening, Raider Nation? It's your boy Soto here. You know what it is, Raiders versus the world. Talk about a team that the world loves to hate, your Las Vegas Raiders. All right, there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the NFL, and it's always been that way, okay? You tell what you want people to hear, and when people get in trouble, it's normally when they say too much or they say the wrong things. Well, how do you stop yourself from saying the wrong thing? You just don't say anything at all, or you just flat deny it and move on, right? So what are we getting at? Okay. Well, a little bit ago, Tom Brady was on the Impulsive podcast, and he was asked directly about his involvement with the Raiders. And this is what he had to say.
We're talking about going late in the draft. Elephant in the room, Shedeur Sanders. What happened, Tom? Why did he go so late in the draft?
I mean, it's a good question. I wasn't a part of any evaluation process or
Skip Bayless says otherwise.
No. Well, everyone's got that's the problem with media is everyone can just say whatever the fuck they want and get away with it.
Crazy.
It's kind of unfortunate because there actually used to be a lot of integrity in media and there's way less now because everyone needs crazy voices to get heard. And it actually probably hurts a lot of relationships, which is not the goal of, broadcasting. It should be to develop and cultivate and solve problems. And rather than the critiques, I want people to offer solutions all the time. So,
all right. Well, that was a little bit of a sidebar going into the whole, Skip Bayless, Tom Brady beef, which, whatever. I'm on Tom Brady's side on this. Skip Bayless, again, he's a shock jock now. He has to say a lot of crazy things, but that's for a different person and different time. I'm not even going to worry about Skip Bayless right now. What I want to talk about is Tom Brady said he was not a part of the process. Now, take that for how you will. Not a part of the process in the draft means you're not in the draft room. You're not part of the evaluation process as far as you don't break down tape, but you can still give your opinion on players depending on what you're asked and when you're asked it. So it's a little bit of a fine line, but I think it's a very important delineation of what it is and what it isn't, okay? The reason we're talking about this is there was a report by Michael Silver from The Athletic, and he said that the Raiders were planning to pursue Sam Darnold in free agency. Okay, that's not a surprise. Sam Darnold's one of the guys out there who had the tools that Chip Kelly is looking for in a quarterback. He's probably one of the guys that was out there that was the most highly regarded free agents out there as far as the quarterback goes. But Tom Brady said no. That's the report. And we're going to get to a little bit here. Let's take a look at the Two Pros and a Cup of Joe with LeVar Arrington and Jonas Knox. They had a little something interesting to say about it. Check this out.
Well, there is maybe a little bit of a problem going on in Seattle. Now, this is, there's just been some reports that have come out of, Seahawks minicamp and whatnot that maybe Sam Darnold has struggled a little bit. He's struggled. Again, this is, minicamp. These are OTAs. We're not even at training camp. And there's some people have said, it hasn't looked all that great. He's trying to get adjusted to a new place, new system, new teammates, all of that. And then there was the report that came out from Mike Silver of The Athletic, who said the following, quote, "The Seahawks' pursuit of Sam Darnold snuck up on many NFL observers and proceeded in rapid-fire fashion. While some believed the Las Vegas Raiders would try to sign Darnold, minority owner Tom Brady, a 7-time Super Bowl winning quarterback whose opinion held great sway, was not in favor of that approach, according to a source familiar with the franchise's internal discussions." So basically, the Raiders chose the player the Seahawks didn't want anymore, and the Seahawks chose the player the Raiders didn't want. So this is
I wonder if they were aware of this.
I mean,
at least who Tom Brady didn't want.
Look, we kind of threw out the question, what's really the difference between Geno Smith and Sam Darnold? And if you had to go by body of work, who's done it more often?
Geno Smith has done more.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And you don't really know what you're going to get from Sam Darnold because there's not enough of a sample size. And that's just reality. Great one season run and really showed that being able to pull it together at the right time can lead to opportunities. but that does not necessarily mean that you've crossed the threshold of being, what that positive season represented to the entirety of your career. He's got to go into Seattle knowing that if he, if what he hasn't done already isn't enough for him to be okay with himself as a career, he's got to put together at least 1 to 2 more seasons before he's got to put together this season. Let's start there before you can say he is a legitimate good football player in the National Football League.
All right, so pretty interesting stuff here. Now, what we're saying, it kind of makes sense, okay? The Seattle Seahawks going after Sam Darnold was kind of like a last-minute thing. The reason why a lot of people picked Sam Darnold, including myself, as the leader of the Raiders to go into a quarterback in free agency was because Geno Smith was not available. He was on another team. People think like, okay, well, Pete Carroll's going to trade for him, this and that. Yeah, all this stuff. Yeah, it sounds well and good, but it takes 2 people. It takes 2 teams to make that happen. Nothing that I saw out of Geno Smith made me believe that the Seahawks should have gotten rid of him. Did he have a down year with the Seattle Seahawks in 2024? Yeah, he did. But there's a lot of reasons going into that. One of the things that you're looking at if you're Seattle is you got a new head coach that you're going to commit to. You're getting a lot of resources into this new head coach. What do you want to do moving forward? Do you want to stick with Geno Smith, or do you want to get someone new in the draft and build for the future? That's what they ended up doing when they selected Jalen Milroe. But they need to have a bridge quarterback, a guy who's pretty much good enough to get them by and not get them fired before they got the chance to go to Jalen Milroe, and that was Sam Darnold. Now, the way this whole thing looks like it went down was we're looking at, okay, let's sit down. What's going on with the quarterback process here? Pete Carroll's coming in, and he said from the very beginning, this is not a rebuilding process. We're trying to win right now. Looking at this quarterback class, it wasn't the 2024 quarterback class, okay? So you weren't going to get a guy that you can win with right away that they saw, okay? So what do we do as far as the Raiders? What do we do with the quarterback position to win now and not really give up the world in order to be able to do it, okay? Pete Carroll has a very good relationship with Geno Smith. He's very comfortable with him, and he knows that he can win with Geno Smith. Cut to Seattle, where they're like, well, we're kind of in a transition period where we don't know whether to kind of stick long-term with Geno Smith because the one season he showed this new regime wasn't his best season, and they see a couple of guys in the draft who may be able to kind of do it in a couple of years. Do you want to keep Geno Smith around for that? He wants a new contract. What do you want to do? He's already 34 years old. They don't have the history in Seattle with Geno Smith that Pete Carroll does, so it was easier for them to move on. So that's when it was made. Okay, let's go ahead and trade for Geno Smith. And once that was done, it was a pretty easy decision for Seattle to go after Sam Darnold because he was pretty much the best guy and the next in line. Now, as far as what LeVar Arrington said, not only is Geno Smith the more accomplished quarterback out of the two, I think that he's the more consistent out of the two as well. Now, you got to take a look at what happened in Minnesota in order for them to be able to win the games that they won. It wasn't a ton of, putting everything on the back of Sam Darnold. Like, he did play really well, and had he won the last game of the season and maybe done a little bit better in the playoffs, you may even won a little bit more of votes for a comeback player or things like that. But what you got to take a look at here is the fact that you have to be consistent enough in your play. Maybe not the results all the time, but in your play. And Sam Darnold just did not look good. He looked overwhelmed and overmatched those last 2 games of the season with Minnesota last season. And Tom Brady's going to look at that and be like, dude, this is not a guy in crunch time that you can rely on to make those throws. This is not a guy in crunch time that you can rely on to be able to get it done for you. Pete Carroll can stand up on the table and pound the table and say, yes, Geno Smith is that guy because he's coached him for a lot of years and he knows what he has in Geno Smith. So all this stuff coming together, it really does make sense. Now, this whole thing as far as like draft input and stuff, that's completely different. Draft and free agency, completely different things. A lot of people out there are trying to be like, you see, Brady told him not to get Darnold. That means he was lying about not having input in the draft. That's just complete nonsense. I see a lot of guys on on YouTube, a lot of podcasters out there who have a lot of views who are just spitting out nonsense about how, well, this is true and this is true, so that means this is true as well. That's ridiculous, okay? If I get caught doing that, please call me out. But for the most part, I try to give you guys what I'm hearing myself or what has been reported directly. No side conversations and no kind of like this and that logic type of stuff. It's just nonsense to do that. It's just not responsible to do. But of course, a lot of these people out there aren't journalists. Like, hell, I'm not a journalist. I just make content, right? But I try to be as straight up with you guys and upfront with you guys. So the reports are from inside the people, whatever they said, the people who are close to the situation, that Tom Brady said Sam Darnold is not the guy to go with, and he signed off on Geno Smith. So if you want to go ahead and follow that logic, which whatever, it does it mean that Tom Brady signed off on Geno Smith? No, not necessarily, but it does mean that Tom Brady probably had to say he was okay with it because he was asked about going after Sam Darnold, and the reports are that he definitely did say no to that. All right, guys, that's my time for today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, man. Do you think it's plausible or it's possible or it's probable that Tom Brady said no to Sam Darnold as a starting quarterback and wanted to go with somebody more like a Geno Smith and, let's say, picked Cam Miller to be the quarterback of the future? Who knows? Go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Also, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It's an excellent way to support the channel. It's absolutely free to do. And it's the bare minimum you can do to support the channel besides doing absolutely nothing and just watching the video. Guys, keep doing what you're doing, man. I really appreciate you guys. I hope you guys like the content. Tell your friends, tell your haters, tell your mamas, tell everybody. Raiders versus the Royals, Grace and going to Raiders today. All right, guys, that's my time. Until next time, everybody. Peace. Hey, Raider Nation. Thanks for watching. There's plenty more where that came from. Go ahead and smash that like button. Drop a comment. Make sure to subscribe and share to all your socials. It's the bare minimum you can do without doing absolutely nothing.